Men who care about you will always do this. We're going to dive into this today. Let me just say something very clearly. He will never delay a commitment. He will progress the relationship forward, but he needs these things to happen before it ever turns into something serious with you. Now, I get it. Many of you are done with dating. I've been there myself. Authentic connections through self awareness, self love feels so convoluted, so rare because dating is so convoluted today. The proximity between physical and cyber connections and the paradox of choice is one of the enormous culprits that we're dealing with today. The paradox of choice, what's that? Relationships are rather complicated because we have all this abundance of choice, or at least perceived choice. And because of that, it's made it very difficult to connect with someone. I get it. I've been in there. I know what you're going through. But if you're a woman or a man watching this, the most important skill you must have is discernment, to discern between those people who are legitimately seeking a relationship versus those looky-loos, those people that put you as a placeholder, those that are seeking casual relationships, those that are seeking friends with benefits, those that are seeking hookups. It's imperative that you learn how to be discerning. Now, some of the things might seem obvious to you. For example, if he won't be consistent with you, or let me reframe this. Let's focus on what they're doing wrong, because what they're doing right boils down to this one thing that must happen. But the real question is whether or not he likes you. And if he likes you, he won't be doing the following things. If a man genuinely likes you, he won't be inconsistent. His actions will match his words on a consistent basis. Let me tell you what he won't be doing. He won't be not listening to you, and he won't only care about himself. If he cares about you, he will actively listen. He'll pay attention to what you have to say. It's not all going to be about himself. I know many of you have gone on first dates where a man only talks about himself. Now, we should realize that a lot of people are nervous in the first date, or can be nervous during a first date. So that isn't indicative. But if someone is consistently only care about themselves, that's a man who doesn't care about you. Those are the easy ones to spot. But when a man likes you, he won't be doing these things. He won't be dismissing your feelings. And repeat that. He won't be dismissing your feelings. He's open and values building trust between the two of you. And trust is built through the sharing of feelings. Folks, I think it's time that we don't give people a pass. I think it is time in our society, it is time in our evolution of human pair bonding that we hyper focus on feelings instead of dismissing feelings. Well, let me repeat that. If you're a woman watching this, I know you won't dismiss your feelings. Women are actually very connected to their feelings. For the guys listening this, you should be aware of this. But at the same time, for the men listening this, it is time to really embody what are you feeling. And I'm inviting you to read a book for the men that are watching. To read the book Emotional Intimacy by Robert Masters. I highly recommend reading this book. And by the way, all the books I recommend are listed below. Why should you guys read this book? It's because here's the thing. To understand our emotions, it requires a little bit of digging. Very few of you men have really had an opportunity to dig inside your emotions. What are you actually feeling? And let me tell you, there's a liberation. There is a liberation for you men watching when you can actually identify what you're feeling and, more importantly, express your feelings in a way that can be seen, heard, and understood. Let me tell you, you will literally become a magnetic attractor to women if you're able to identify your feelings, what your emotions are going through, being able to regulate your emotions, but more importantly, to be able to articulate your feelings in a way that can be seen, heard, and understood. And for those ladies that are watching, Let me just tell you, not all of you are good at this either. Believe it or not, many of you, and I've jokingly said this before, you either have duct tape over your mouth when it comes to your feelings, and please forgive that. That's not meant to shame anyone. Or you might have a habit of vomiting your feelings in a way that we men can't understand. Healthy communication between people requires a greater understanding of what's going on inside internally, but more importantly, what needs need to be met from the other person you are in relationship with. If you haven't read the book, Nonviolent Communication by Marshall Rosenberg, I highly recommend reading this book. Whether you're a man or woman, to help you get clarity on how to articulate yourself in relationship. People that care about one another want to do this work together. In fact, whether you're a man or woman watching this, if you begin dating someone, I invite you to share this video with them. In fact, I suggest you go back to some of my older videos, watch them, share it together, have conversations with one another. By the way, ladies, if you're watching, if a man genuinely cares about you and you say, hey, I've got a video I'd like us to watch together, a man who genuinely cares about you isn't going to dismiss your feelings, expressing how you'd like to grow as a couple. By the way, I get very excited and I get kind of agitated. So if my voice gets loud and kind of passionate, just know what's going on. Let me tell you what a man won't do if he genuinely cares about you. He won't make excuses about spending time with you. And by the way, if you're a guy watching this, same thing goes for you, man. If a woman makes excuses about making time, spending time with you, that's a person who doesn't genuinely like to hang out with you. I'm sorry. We've got to call it for what it is. When you like hanging out with somebody, you want to spend as much time as possible. And certainly when there's genuine care, you're going to make time for another person. I'm going to share one more thing in a second, but after that, I want you to know I'm going to get down to the deep root of what a man needs. And by the way, you men watching, you need this if you want to dive into a deeper relationship with someone. But let me tell you what, you men who don't care, you won't be stuck on your problems. You're going to have a stable life. Men who are really capable of a deeper relationship, the life under the ground underneath them feels solid. Their life isn't in chaos. Now, that's not to suggest you might not have a circumstance where you're going through some struggles or some things like that. We all have life, challenge to deal with. But a man who's capable of a commitment, the ground underneath him feels solid. If it's in such chaos, if he's going through a contentious divorce, maybe he's got some gigantic issues going on in his professional life. Sadly, he might have some health issues that might preclude him from fully going all in. But what I'm talking about is they're stuck in their problems. They're stuck in the challenges in their lives. There are people that are going through health issues, particularly folks in midlife. And that's the demographic that I speak to. And midlife is what I say is after baby making years and before retirement. If we break our lives into quarters, if you will, the first 40 years, the next 30 years, and if we're lucky, the next 20 years thereafter. Wait, how old would that make a person? But that's what I call midlife. And certainly for those of us in midlife, we have health challenges to deal with. We've got elderly parents, maybe in assisted living facilities. So we've got more to deal with than that younger demographic, that 20 or 30-year-old demographic. See, our problems at midlife are a lot different than a 20 or 30-year-old. And that's why I dive into these conversations from that vantage point. So as I shared with you, men who genuinely care, they won't be inconsistent. They won't be dismissing your feelings. They won't be dismissing listening to you. They won't be making excuses, and they won't be stuck on their problems. What a man who genuinely cares about you needs this one factor to be in a position to care about you. And as I say about care, I want to really dive into what it feels like to actually be with someone who cares about you from a friendship vantage point and not a lust and limerence vantage point. Folks, whether you're a man or woman watching this, I'm here to encourage friendship-based partnerships. Friendship-based romantic partnerships. Let me clarify that. First off, I'm a big proponent of life partnership-based relationships, couples that want to have a life partner, but more importantly, to be a life partner with their best friend. And I don't think a man or woman will get there unless they are this, and that is committed to commitment. Committed to commitment. If you're not committed to commitment, if you are not solid in your desire that you want a life partnership basis or relationship, then most likely you're going to be winging it out there. And if you're winging it out there, it's going to be difficult. You're hoping for magic fairy dust to somehow convince you. You're hoping for lightning bolt to strike instead of recognize that a relationship is built through mutual effort, particularly friendship-based effort. And by the way, it's 11:11 on the clock right now. I want to really emphasize this friendship-based effort because care comes from friendship. It doesn't come from lust and limerence. When a man or a woman is heavily focused on the physical connection instead of the intellectual and emotional connection, bump, 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 intellectual and emotional connection. It is through the intellectual and emotional connection that, and by the way, within intellectual is humor. Humor is so vitally important to the successful relationship. I really do believe this. Two people that can laugh together, particularly those of us in midlife, because we have a lot of crap to laugh about. Some of our insane things we did in our younger years. And if we can laugh at it, and we can certainly laugh with another, we will build the deep roots of trust to sustain a fully committed relationship. Men who care about you will always do this, and that is be committed to commitment, because it is through that commitment to commitment that they can actually invest in another human being from that heart-centered place that I was talking about. And ladies, if you're watching this, I invite you to do your due diligence. As I said before, dating is a convoluted process. It requires being discerning. It requires vetting another human being. And we should be doing this from the very first phone call, from the very first date, and certainly well before you give your heart to another one. But Jonathan, that means I'm going to be interviewing someone, folks. It is time to interview people. Let's look at dating first. You got to get through the interview process to actually get to a date. I know this goes against conventional wisdom, but it's time to stop focusing on attraction, entertainment, romance, and physical connection and start developing connection with someone from a heart-centered level, from that intellectual and emotional level, before we go down the physical train track with another human being. Is this sinking in? Is this resonating with you? Please let me know. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. Post a comment below. I do my best to read them all within the first 24 hours. As always, if you find value in my videos, please hit that like button. Please share this video. Please subscribe to my channel. Hit that notification bell so you can be notified of new videos. And if you want to connect with me, hey, there's links below. Schedule a discovery call with me to see if working with a coach is right for you. There's a link to join my group called Midlife Love Mastery. There's a link to get all the books I recommend below. And also make sure you get my dating vows. It's listed below. You are going to want to get that because this is critical conversations to have with someone before you're ever physically intimate. It's in the show notes, the dating vows. All right, I'm going to wrap up this video as I always do. First off, give myself a big, gigantic Jonathan Bear hug of self-love. I'm going to reach into the camera and give you a hug of love, if that's okay. I'm going to ask you to turn to someone, a pet, teddy bear, a pillow, and give it or them a hug of love, because hugs are a great source of love. And let's face it, we could all use more love in our lives. Thanks a bunch.